The British government has offered to take in 20,000 refugees by 2020, and unaccompanied children are expected to be among them. CCTV's Richard Bestick reports.
The UK says it will work with the United Nations to identify what it calls exceptional cases from refugee camps in Syria and neighbouring countries. Save the Children says child refugees are, quote, incredibly vulnerable, and has pressed the government to take 3,000.
I think what the government's done today is listen to the calls that there needs to be extra support and help for refugee children, and that they're beginning to do this. Now we need to make sure that they follow through on this, that they commit to helping these refugee children who are very alone and very vulnerable, and take steps to do that as urgently as possible.
Around 26,000 unaccompanied under 18-year-olds have landed on Europe's shores, according to Save the Children. Those who've ended up in the so-called jungle in Calais, France, are not included in the UK initiative, although the British government is providing $15 million to help reunite families already in Europe.
The situation we're facing at the moment with the child refugee crisis is very complicated. We need to make sure there's adequate support for children affected by the conflict, such as the one in Syria, and who've become refugees in those neighbouring countries like Lebanon and Jordan. But we can't forget those children who have already arrived in Europe, who have arrived alone and are very vulnerable. And what we need to do is make sure that the government does all it can to help both.
The unaccompanied child migrants brought to Britain will be in addition to the 20,000 refugees the UK has already agreed to take from camps in and around Syria.
For many of the international aid agencies, like Save the Children here, the devil will be in the detail of the UK's announcement. For now, they're simply welcoming the fact that finally the plight of the most vulnerable from the Syrian civil war has finally made it onto Europe's political and diplomatic agenda. Richard Bestick, CCTV, London.